Central Vermont Career Center School District Board Meeting to order, 6 p.m. December 8th, 2025. We are recording now, and we will go forward. Do we have any guests online?
It's Sue Paxman, and Tim is one of our instructors who's presenting tonight.
Okay. So welcome all guests. We're glad to have you. We have our norms, our agreements and norms that we have all been holding to, and we, among ourselves and all others, agree to be civilized people and conduct ourselves accordingly. Are there any comments or from the public, or do they receive any correspondence about items that are not on the agenda?
I received a phone call, two of them actually from the same person, and I was able to connect with them, but they had seen Sunday morning, not this past Sunday, but the one before, that Metallica, I think it was, gives away, has a philanthropic organization that gives funding away, and they'd seen that they were giving money to career centers. So they wanted me to know, and they really want their son to be able to come here in the future. And so they wanted to make sure that I reached out, which I did. I filled out the form online. It's not, the grant is not currently available, but I filled out the contact information form. So they were excited that they had seen that on Sunday morning and that maybe we could get some funding that way.
Well, somebody go to church on Sunday, you answer the phone.
Well, no, they called me during the week and asked me if I'd seen it and recommended that I go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Very good. Anyone online from the public have any comments for anything that's not on the agenda? Continue on then. We hope that everyone has reviewed this agenda. We need to approve it as it stands, unless there are any additions or corrections to it.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
And any discussion? No. All those in favor, please say aye. Is there anyone on line who has any comments on our agenda? All right. And any objections? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries, agenda is approved. We now go into the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the 11/10/2025 meeting. Any additions or corrections to that?
Michelle did just update it. Under the consent agenda, we didn't know who had seconded it, so we just watched the Orca recording and it was Todd.
Okay.
So she updated that. So it had said XXX because we weren't sure who did that.
All right. So I need a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
So moved.
Moved by Lyman.
Seconded.
By Todd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. The minutes are approved. We move into our board reports.
Doesn't look like we have any students here today.
All right.
So
Program presentation exploratory.
Okay, so we've got Tim and I. Tim is online. I have a slideshow I'm going to share with you, and we'll talk a little bit about our program. Again, I'm Steph Olson.
Hi, I'm Tim Hammond.
And I'm going to. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, please do.
Yes. Okay. Share my screen. Just share the screen. you're not allowed to share your,
You need to be a co-host. probably.
yeah, it says that you're not allowed to share your.
So I need to change permissions.
So, as you're doing that, so exploratory program is, very much what it sounds like. We are a true exploratory program. We have 24 students. We still have 24
Okay,
students.
You should be able to now.
And it is a great opportunity for students who may not know exactly what they want to do or have an idea and kind of want to look at different pathways to be able to see what CVCC offers.
I would just interject that exploratory is currently leading the way in applications with 39 applications as of noon on Friday. That's just 2 weeks into the admissions process.
Our students are kind of our best marketers. They constantly tell each other about programs. It's really cool to see how they recommend and they tell us, oh, I have somebody who, my sister's gonna apply, my brother's gonna apply, my friend's gonna apply. And they do a lot of kind of marketing for us. And it really excites them when they recommend somebody. We've seen students, current students, past students introduce us at open house or trades fair to prospective students. And that, I feel like that says a lot about our program. Do you have anything to add to that, Tim?
Yeah, just that over the years, Steph and I have made a slight change to our teaching philosophy in terms of we understand our job on the surface level is to prepare these students for programming at our school. But our overall goal is to get our students to become community members as a whole, not just in our school, but in our community, and hopefully future leaders in those programs. We work really hard to push collaboration, teamwork, flexibility, and the feedback that we're getting from programs has really shown that goal that we have, that underlying goal that we kind of push in there, kind of like getting our students to eat their vegetables, so to speak, without them knowing, has really worked out so far.
Absolutely. We get a lot of great feedbacks from students themselves, from your cast and from instructors. So what does it mean to be exploratory student? So in the beginning of the year, we start them off with looking at every single program. We front load them with information about, we're not expecting them to be experts. We spend a week per program, but we do try and do something that's engaging and teaches them a skill that they might see in that program. We let our students know that, again, they're not experts at any point during the time, but it just exposes them to a pathway that they may not know could be out there for them. We have students all the time come in and they say, like, I want this program, and that's it. It's like, this is my path, I know it. But as soon as we explore something else, it opens their eyes to possibilities that they didn't even know was available to them. How many do you think we had switched this year?
Already, I say this is the biggest year for students who switch their initial choice, first and second choice for next year. I'd say at least half the class. And even though it can be a little stressful for our students to get into programming for next year, we like to see that because it shows Steph and I and the administration that they care. We make it a point to go over applications with our students on a case-by-case basis. And every year, up until this year, we have a lot of students who rush because they're under the impression that if they get their application in on open house night, that they are going to somehow be, they're going to be closer. It's going to be a better chance for them to get into a program. We try to explain to them that round one is round one, and that we really want to go over their answers with them, and we really want them to think about the choices that they're making. And this year, we have students who are coming to us on break, before school, after class ends,
Mailing us.
to have us look over their applications. And I would say, yeah, at least half the class this year.
Absolutely, absolutely. We definitely see every year that Tim and I teach together, and we focus on this philosophy of helping them be best that they can be, not just for their industry, but as a person. We really do see quality in work and quality of
Mhm.
attitude, and the want and the drive really improve. It's pretty cool to see. And you'll see that we did have students answer a prompt that we wanted to show you guys. We selected a couple, and you can see that in their writing. It's pretty cool.
Could you just share with us what grade these students would be equivalent to?
9th and 10th grade, so we accept 9th and 10th grades students. We prioritize 10th grade over the 9th, but we have a pretty good mix of 9th graders this year. We really do want to, when we have 9th graders, we really try to look at dynamics. Who really wants to be here? Who's going to show us they want to be here? Who can be safe? Who's going to represent our school? And who's willing to jump in and go outside their comfort zone and grow?
Mhm.
So is this half a year?
This is a full year
Full
program. They are with us, so Tim and I, we split the day. We have blue and orange group. Blue starts with me and orange starts with Tim, and then we switch halfway through. We also, though, do, for example, when we do bigger projects, we just did our culinary challenge where we were focusing on the culinary program, and we got all together as a group for that week. And we did this really big project. There was a lot of math involved, a lot of looking at recipes and manipulation, and we work together as a full group for that week. So we do have times where we're together as a full group. It really depends on the project that we're working on. It depends on the time of year as well.
And another thing before we move on to the next slide, I think that Expo this year really needs to give flowers to our teachers, Angelique and Ryan. They've been really working with us a lot this year already, and it's great to have them come in with new ideas about how to make some of the lessons that we have a little bit more robust, and come in and show other aspects of the humanities side and the STEM side. And they've worked with us a couple times. They're currently working with us on a bigger project, and it's been real great.
Yeah, they're excellent. We love the model that they have where they're coming in and they're passionate, and it gets our students excited. It's great to see.
Stephanie, let me make a generalization. You can tell me whether I'm wrong.
Go for it.
So I'm going to guess that the exploratory students have to work harder because they're trying to get their subjects in, whereas
Yes.
somebody who joined the program as a junior may be ahead in terms of their subjects, or
Yes.
working on early graduation, or is that a good assumption or no?
It is
Yes.
a good question. What we tell our students is Expo is a year-long interview. We also go over, we've added to our catchphrases. It's a year-long interview, time and place, and going outside your comfort zone. So as an exploratory student, they have to prove themselves all year that they are ready to come back into the program that they're accepted into, that they can be safe, that they can be professional all year long
And at their sending school as well.
at their sending school. Did I answer your question?
How many students?
We have 24 students, and currently we have about half and half in terms of male-female ratio. We also, Tim and I really wanted to focus on collaborations. That has been wildly successful for us. So collaborations, for example, in our first picture right here, you can see that one of our students is in the welding booth with 2 welding students. we work really, really hard to help work on our community, CVCC community, and look at that kind of that bigger picture. Students don't want to listen to us all the time. They'd rather learn from each other.
Yes, and having our former Expo students in program really helps out because they understand what it is to be an exploratory, and they end up really naturally taking a lot of our students under their wing and showing them the stuff that was shown to them by other Expo students when they were in exploratory, and it makes that collaboration just much more rich.
And it gives the students who are doing the teaching in that program a chance to take ownership of their own education, but also to, it really solidifies that information and what it's like to be a teacher. I hear that all the time. Oh, I didn't realize that. It's tiring. But yeah, yeah. So collaborations is huge. Do we want to say anything else? We collaborate with just about every single program. The only ones, again, because it's really tough the first week or two of school, is building trades, but we do have a very robust project.
But we do get visits from our neighbor, Mr. Kolometsev, on a daily basis. So because he's next door in the morning, he does connect with our students. But I guess electrical too was a little bit tougher this year because we were trying to give the new teacher Jamie an opportunity to really see where his teaching lies with Brandon. But that's definitely on the books for next year to do a collaboration with them as well. Even though we did collaborate with them, it was a last minute and we weren't really putting pressure on them. So they did step up at the end, and it was really great to see that collaboration that we did do in electrical. But our goal for next year is to, across the board, to make sure that we do something with every single program.
Really important. So we did get into some industry visits this year. We did go to the Berry City water treatment plant this year, and it was excellent. Our tour guide was a former CVCC student who went through automotive and building trades years ago, before Mr. Kolometsev was our building trades teacher. It's a great way for our kids to see what it's like to be a professional in the field and learn a little bit about the schooling and to see how CVCC. It was nice to see how CVCC directed this person into the workforce. We love more industry visits. We tried for 802 Subaru. It did not work out this year, but industry visits are pretty important, I believe, so that they can really see it in real time. Right now, we're in our shadowing portion of the year, so students have to go to every single program and shadow. It really helps them get a sense that they go there for 3 hours, and it gives them a sense of what it's like to be in that space, and what skills you would be able to learn there, and see how the instructor teaches. If they're in the classroom with me and Tim, for me, they're working on wood shop and academics. And Hammond is working on.
Yes, we're finishing up our unit on reading Into the Wild at the tail end. We're about to start our next book, The Freedom Writer's Diary, and we're also working on personal finance through Next Generation platform, which is something that we have been teaching for the past 5 or 6 years. And just recently, it's become part of the state standard to make sure that we are teaching that as part of our curriculum. And we are also collaborating with Ryan and Angelique with our leather shop to do some product designing.
For those industry recognized credentials, all of our students passed OSHA 10 this year. So all 24 of them passed, I believe, first try. Everybody got first try this year. And that's always a huge success, and our students really enjoy having that certification. For the state, they're also say that you also have to add service, which talks a little bit about community service and being a community member and looking at those aspects, which I'm undertaking, and that'll come a little bit later on in the year. I personally would love, and I know Tim and I've talked about adding to our IRCs, first aid CPR. I think that would be beneficial for our students. But again, with how much we offer, our year goes by very quickly. There's not a lot of space.
Let me go back to the shadowing question. So given that there are places that are a little tight, in this building, how do you handle the shadow?
Do you want to take that on or me, Tim?
Sure, I can start. Well, Steph, first of all, has been, so awesome with the shadow piece. She works this out over the summer. She actually does a whole schedule because it is very difficult to make sure that everybody's scheduled in at certain times. She makes sure that we send out emails, and so she puts a lot of work into that to make sure that students and faculty know when this is happening. And go ahead and add whatever you need, Steph.
So we send them one at a time. We don't send 2 or 3 at a time. You know why we do that? Well, fire codes, that's a good point. We don't want to get in trouble with that.
Program limits as well.
Program limits as well. But if we send Skippy and Susie together to, let's say, automotive, Skippy and Susie know each other, right? Skippy and Susie are going to stick to get together, right? They're going to be the security blankets, okay? We push them outside their comfort zone. So we send them one at a time so that they get to go in by themselves, and it's terrifying. I'm sure kids have nightmares about shadowing. Because it's a big step. We try and push our students and take steps back so that they're growing, they're learning that independence. They've got to jump into it. You can't go to a job interview with your best friend. Well, I guess you can, but you know. So it really gives them a chance to kind of branch out, and it also gives them a chance to be one-on-one with that instructor if they get. So the instructor can kind of remember, oh, that's Susie over there, okay? So it's a big schedule. We do it for about 7 minutes.
Yes, and we have tried in the past to do the 2 people, 3 people, and it's exactly what Steph says. They kind of rely on each other a little bit too much, and so over the years we've kind of developed steps to the shadowing. So yes, they go out and they observe and they participate, but they also have a pretty involved assignment while they're there.
Big time. They have to take notes, they have to answer certain questions, and then they have to come back, transfer all their notes into a document. They have to write for us 2 paragraphs about their day. And that's for 11 programs. So it's a lot of work while keeping up with what's going on.
That was gonna be my question, because they'll be missing 3 hours of class, so how do they make that out?
So we front load it at the beginning of the week. Mondays, they don't shadow because we want to give instructors that time with their class without exposed students, but it also gives us a chance to front load what's coming in the week and work on that with it throughout. Anything on that, Tim?
It really is just a time management piece. It is something that we talk about from day one to let them know that this will be coming down once shadows start, and just letting them know that yes, when they come back at 12 o'clock, it's very exciting. Everybody wants to talk about what they did and they want to catch up with friends, but we let them know that if Olson and I have grading to do or meetings and we're not prepared, it's going to reflect poorly on us, to Jody and to Hannah. And, we try to explain to them that they are going to have to figure out how to manage themselves when they're on the job. And this is all part of that whole learning process to prepare themselves for next year. And sometimes it is a little difficult for students to balance that. But we do make sure that we leave the door open to let students know that if they are struggling with sports and assignments from their setting school and shadowing and keeping up with the assignments in our class, that we're always available. And a lot of times students will come in and we let them know, hey, if you have something that's late and you let us know ahead of time, that's not a problem. You're not going to lose points on that. You're communicating with us. What is a problem is that if you're coming to class and you're not on task, you're not getting things handed in, and then it comes to the end of the quarter, and you know, it's 2 days before we have to have grades in, and they have 15 outstanding assignments, and ask us, hey, what can I do to catch up? That's when we're like, okay, you know, we got to figure this out for next year because some of the instructors are very in the mindset of we're going to run this like a shop, we're going to run this like a kitchen, and we want to prepare them for that reality. But again, we try to ease them into that as much as we possibly can, and it's been working out very well so far.
Good question. As I said, I do the math and science, take those humanities, and we do offer a couple industry recognitions. Do you want to take community service?
Sure. Community service is something that we've been working on. My first year here, I didn't work with staff. We're going on our 6th year working together, but my first couple of years, I'm like, how can we get community services part of the program here? And this was with the old administration. So we're always looking for little things to do. And we ended up, when I was able to have Steph as a co-teacher, we sat down and we're like, all right, how are we going to make this part of our curriculum? So we ended up putting it out to the students. What are things that you can come up with that we can add? But we also were able to connect with the Berry City Cow Pasture Stewardship to do some really cool invasive plant removal. We do green up every year, and now actually Steph and I are part of the student support team, and we're trying to bring it to the whole school to be able to do something. And Abby Allen's working really, really hard with our team to make this a reality. Steph, you can talk more about invasives because you're the expert on the situation here.
So, as a, I have a degree for conservation, and something that I just got really passionate about was invasive plant management and control. Found a job at Anchor College, for the Montclair Parks Department, and it was a lot of fun. And the cool thing is, way back when CVCC was very tech, the expo instructor would actually come to the Parks Department, and I would leave after been learning about invasives. And every Wednesday, they would pull invasives or do some kind of parks test. And it's a great chance for kids to see and to do a little bit of history research about our community, to learn about how these invasives not only affect wildlife and our rivers, and to look at management plans. What is a land management plan? And then to go out and identify and then actually physically remove these bushes. And we do it for, we go out, we identify for a day, and then for 2 days, the kids are pulling them. And it's hard, muddy work. The kids thrive on it. We have had the last year and the year before, our class asked us, hey, can we do one more day of pulling honeysuckle? And we did work that into the schedules. I feel like it's not often when you get kids asking, hey, can we keep participating in that community service? Berry Cow Pasture Stewardship Committee has to authorize it every single year. This is we call this our, our legacy
project. Yeah.
This is our legacy project. And they love CVCC. They're just so happy and they'd love to reach out more. But we've done Green Up in Montpelier, Waterbury, and Barry. We would love to get to all of our sending schools. We do 2 days of Green Up Day. So if you guys have any areas that you know would be a good spot for Green Up in your community and would be safe, that's what we care about, is the safety. Please email us. You know, we'd love to come to every single town that we serve.
And we're hoping this year, we've been talking with another pre-tech program in our tech meetings. And for the past couple of years, we've been trying to make a cross-school collaboration for the invasive plant removal. And our hope this year is at the very least to invite them to come walk the trails and kind of fill them in what the project is. And we've been talking about it for the past, this is our second year. We've been talking with another instructor, and we're hoping to make that a reality this year.
So that's Green Mountain Tech, and they would love to come down and they would like to participate in this project. I think that would be cool. And it's not penciled in at this moment, but possibly Randolph wants to come up and also do that. It would be, and these are all expo programs. Kind of cool. So independent projects is our last one. These are students from last year. They have to pick a project. They're given a budget. This takes 2 months to complete.
At least, yeah, I think we're going to try to start at about probably 2.5 months this year.
Yeah, because it's a big project. This is when Tim and I take a step back and we say, okay, here's your budget. Now we test everything that they've learned, their communication skills, their time management, their budgeting skills. They have to execute a project, and it could be anything, as long as it's in their budget. As you can see, the student on the left last year made a river table. The time and the effort put in was incredible. Didn't finish it, but still working on it this year. Welded the legs. The student went into welding, and again is still working on it. Do you want to talk about the students?
Yes, absolutely. So the student in the other photo there, she was very passionate about doing something surrounding awareness around drinking and driving. It was something that really impacted their family. And they ended up doing a presentation and showed part of a documentary film that was made that was related to their uncle. And it was so moving that we actually had people in the classroom, you know, they were very emotional about it. And it was so well done. And it was just fantastic how much work she put into it. And that's what we're looking for, something that's meaningful, something that takes effort, something that is, involves all of the skills that Steph had spoken about earlier.
So, again, probably are a little tired of hearing what we have to say. So we did ask our students, we try and get our students involved. Again, they're who we serve, right? It's not about Tim or I. It's what does our program do for these students? So we did ask that we had them do a writing prompt about this presentation. We asked them to share their views on Expo and how it's impacted them this year. What has been their favorite part? What are they looking forward to? And if they haven't had a magic wand, what would you add or subtract from Expo? We tried really hard to talk about feedback and how feedback can be really hard to hear, but it's what you do with it. And we always ask for feedback from them, whether it be a reflection. What did you think about this lab? What could be done differently? And have them start thinking about feedback in that way as constructive instead of something you have to run away from. So this is what our students had to say. And again, I'm so impressed we did not give them a sentence limit, or a sentence minimum. They wrote a lot.
They did, actually.
They wrote a lot. I had to go to the dentist right after, so I didn't get to read this until after the dentist appointment. But it was really neat. So the first one, exploratory has impacted me in so many different ways, all of them being good. Expo has made me want to come to school every day and constantly wanting to learn as much as I possibly can from them. Expo has also helped me build a better relationship with my dad and my brother. And that's because Expo has taught me so much that now I can help my brother and dad work on stuff. I now have the knowledge. Expo has been amazing. It's the best thing that's ever happened in my life, and seriously couldn't be more thankful for my opportunity to be a part of this class and community. Favorite part of Expo so far has probably been the shadows. So far, I've only shadowed twice, but both times were really fun. It's a super cool experience to be able to go down into other programs and spend time with them. Something I'm looking forward to in Expo is definitely the independent project because there's so much freedom in that project, and I'm super excited. If I were having a magic wand, I definitely make our day longer by an hour or so because I love being in this school, and it's helped me way more than my skit sending school in every way. I think that's pretty cool and positive, you know. And I can send, if you want, I can send these responses to you guys so that you do have them. Yeah, they wrote so much. I was so proud of them. Do you want me to read it or do you want to read it?
I can read this one. I'm gonna take my camera off so you don't have to look at my face looking straight into the presentation. So this year I've met a lot of new people for the better, or excuse me, new people for better or for worse. And I went from missing almost every day to missing almost no days at all this entire year. My favorite part of Expo this year was collaborating as a full class with other programs to see what they do and how things are done. Something I look forward to is to hopefully get into electrical next year so I can fulfill what I want to do when I am older. Something I think should be different here is instead of everyone going to shadow different days and making it so people miss class, everyone should do it on the same day and go to different collaborations so you don't have to miss anything in class and have to juggle it all at once. And I agree. And if Olson and I were able to do that, it would be great. But that's, it is hard for them. So this is really good to see, as Olson pointed out earlier, we want that we tell them to be as honest as possible so that we are, reflecting and we can make adjustments as need be.
Absolutely. Because they have some really great points that we don't see. Expo has brought out a side of me that I thought I wouldn't see. I have been able to become more comfortable presenting in front of the class, and though I may still not like it, it doesn't scare me as much as it did before. My favorite part so far at Expo would be just getting into all the trades and seeing what they're like. I'm looking forward to being able to learn new things that I don't know. If I had a magic wand, I would say I want there to be a bigger shop so we can do more things. I agree with them. Our shop is really small and has some, and I get that you guys, you've heard this, it's small. Do you want me to read this one or do you want to read it?
I could read it as long as my dog stopped barking here. Okay, so Expo has helped me realize the areas I need to improve in when I'm working with groups or conquering challenges. It has helped me branch out more and be more open to changes and going with the flow. Expo also helped me discover career options I hadn't previously considered and helped me to narrow down my choices. Through the year so far, I have definitely seen a change in my attitude about school. I actually want to be here and argue about having to miss school. My favorite part of Expo so far has been all the collaborations, especially in welding and automotive. I'm looking forward to shadowing more programs and doing the independent project at the end of the year. If I had a magic wand, I'd want a larger shop with better ventilation to allow more opportunities during program studies.
We didn't tell them what to write.
I'm sensing a theme.
I know, we didn't tell them what to write.
All day.
That, you would be surprised if they would stay here if they could.
Yeah.
Another one bigger job.
Not only Expo, but the CVCC community has impacted me for the better in so many ways. The community here is unlike no other. When I walk through those doors in the morning or when I am leaving in the afternoon, rain or shine, I'm greeted with a good morning and a smile that makes me feel welcome and like I have a part here at CVCC. My favorite part of Expo is actually going around and getting to shadow with all the different programs and getting a sneak peek on how the instructor runs things and what a typical day looks like in the program. Something I'm looking forward to is the independent project. Again, another theme there, guys. I'm looking forward to this because we get a free pass to do what we want within reason. And I think it is very important and helps us build independence and time management along with many others. If I had to add or subtract one thing, I definitely add something and make us have a bigger shop like heavy trade shop. So during every unit, we could actually do work in the classroom like we did with the switches and other electrical wiring. But overall, Expo has changed my learning for the
I didn't think about it until they said that, walking in through the doors every day. But we do. We have 2 people at our morning that open the door every morning and greet every kid that walks in. From the administrator to a teacher to a lab assistant, I don't know that any other high schools have their principal open the door for them
I'm on
every
Tuesday.
morning. Yeah.
Well, and it's the change in community here. The collaboration's going on, and again, Jody, thank you for pushing people to do that. Like, again, our kids see it. I really do appreciate that. The kids know.
This is the first time I heard,
And again, we did not script this. This is all them. I copy and pasted. But I think their words are powerful. And the fact that they want to be here says something. It's not just our program.
So Stephanie, you started your presentation by saying we have 24 kids, and we still have 24 kids. So my question is actually multifaceted. How many kids will stick it out? What are the, like the program statistics, number one. Number two, if you take Expo, does it guarantee you're going to get into it? Does it give you a leg up? And number three, if you're a ninth grader,
Yeah.
can you still apply for a program as a sophomore?
So I'll work on it, going back. Yes. No, we've had students come in as ninth graders, do very, very well in Expo, get in for their 10th grade year. They have 3 more years that they can then do what they would like to do here, at CVCC. Whether that be go to trades, do co-op, they can, if they represent themselves well in Expo and their other programs, yes, they could be here for 4 full years. We've actually had that happen, right? Yeah, we've had that happen.
Yes, we have. And to kind of jump into the whether or not it guarantees them a spot or gives them a leg up, it all depends. As Olson has already pointed out, it is a year-long interview. So as long as they are doing what is asked of them in terms of showing up and participating, doing the work, yes. It can go the other way as well. Very rarely do we have students not coming back to our school, and if that happens, it's usually things that are really out of our control based off attendance or behavior issues that happen either at our school rarely or at a setting school. I will say that when we also have students come in as a ninth grader, we've had them go a lot of different paths, taking, as Olson pointed out, advantage of being able to go into those different programs. But we've also had students who come in as a freshman, come here for a couple of years and go and take early college. One of our academic students of the program from a couple of years ago, she's currently at Norwich taking early college. So it all depends on what they do and the work they put in.
Yep, absolutely. It really is. If they get a recommendation from us at the end of the year. So when it comes to admissions, we will look at our class and we will give our feedback on the students so that instructors, if they've been with us for a year, are they ready to come back? Do they need a little bit of work? If so, in what areas? And maybe they need to work on certain skills back that they're studying school, or this may not be the right fit for them. And we're very transparent with students about that. That they have to work to get really have to work to get our recommendation. Students know that, and it motivates them. So with kids coming back, when we first, it's always been 24. Our rooms are small. It's hard to fit. We would, love to take more, but again, our rooms are small. Shops are small, so safely, 24 is kind of our point. But we have had this year, we did not have any, students leave. Last year, we didn't have any students leave either. The year prior, we didn't either. In the first, I think, 2 years, we had we had some students had to get exited for behavioral reasons, but it's like 2 in 2 years, and then 1 moved out of state. So we have seen our numbers not in our applications not only growing, but we've seen students stay. Do you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are, again, we've seen our application pool rise, which is awesome. And again, I think the students really know that being here matters, and they really want to be here. As the kids are saying, they want to be here.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to when we're looking at applicants. Unfortunately, we have had some not so great feedback from students coming from other schools where if they've had some discord among administration or faculty members where they're like, oh, you're never going to get into tech because they have such high numbers, and they're making it seem to some of our students that they have to have perfect attendance, perfect behavior. But what Olson and I are really looking at is growth. And students who may have struggled in the beginning of the year, if we see some behavior stuff going on in September, October, but there's nothing, and they're emailing us and they have great responses and they're shadowing. It's a different type of shadow when they come visit us. We're looking at like the big picture, and wanting to be here it really is the name of the game, and encourage them that like we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for growth.
They're still kids, and safety. They can be safer. That's important. They're still kids. It's okay for them to. We want them to be that. We don't want perfect students. Any other questions for us? It's a lot of fun. We tell our students they're never going to be bored in this room.
Fantastic.
And just if you're reading the rest of those responses, just know that maybe it's the way that I spoke this morning, but for the first 5, the end of the prompt was definitely if you had a magic wand. Some people wrote it as a magic want. So I don't know if I wasn't speaking clearly, just so you know.
Okay, but yeah, what we'll do is I'll put these in a document and I can send them out so that, because it's pretty cool to see students respond, and we do encourage them. Again, I did not put a sentence minimum, so they went ahead and they were writing. It was really good. Come visit and let us know if you know any industry partners we should visit. Let us know any community service that you think would be helpful for us. We always want to, keep growing and kind of get out there for our students.
And speakers.
And speakers, absolutely.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate both of you taking the time to come and share your activities with us. And I think it's just fantastic to hear what goes on. Do you still make the spoons?
We do, we're just starting, so we are starting that, students are learning the safety behind their wood carving knives, and they are now, doing their 4 basic carving cuts test. So they are, really excited about it. Got some new resources, and tools, and they're ready to go. They're ready to go.
Very good. Well, again, thank you both for coming here and presenting for us. We appreciate hearing from everyone, but this is always exciting.
Expo's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Steph.
We'll see you guys later.
Have a good night.
If you want to come full circle,
Man, charcoal, G was a hard one.
it is.
Learn the charcoal, but I can have some
Okay.
You can't absolutely see that.
No, I. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, our next adventure here is committee reports. Facilities, is there a facilities report?
Well, there is.
Yes.
You
Okay.
gotta start paying attention. So we had a long conversation regarding this proposed advisory board. And you've seen the draft scope of work that Jody put together. This is the second draft. We went through it the other night, line by line as much as possible. And so we wanted to
That's
obviously
the
share.
work group as
Yes.
written.
It's the work group, yeah, I wanted to share this with you and answer any questions, but also get some recommendations for the composition of the group. And we think this is the best way forward to get 3 or 4 possible options for facilities. So we laid out 3 of them, one is a new building. Maybe that will be modified a little bit, I don't know. Another is maybe she calls it a hub and spoke, modular approach, and which is administratively challenging, but not out of the question per se. And then some kinds of other options, like the 6-acre property on Vine Street that we told about. So we want to get a group together to look at these different options, put together these possible solutions along with budgets, what it would cost. And then the group will make a final recommendation to the board through a presentation. This is a really quick timeline. As you noticed, it was actually shorter runway, but we convinced Jody that probably we need a few months. Nobody could meet twice a week, every week. It's likely. So this is what we spent most of our time on, and we wanted to get your impression of this tonight. Jody, don't you think?
Yeah, we'd like to move it forward so that we can get this started and at least meet once in December with this group. One of the really important components of this is that there would only be 1 board member, so it's not warned, it's a little bit more flexible in the timing and less cumbersome than having a full board committee working on it. And so that way this work group can meet what it meets their needs and gather the information they need and then bring it back to the facilities committee to make a presentation on what they propose at the end, and then that can come to the full board after.
Do you have people in mind already for a lot of these roles? Do we have any?
We have some people who have expressed interest. I do not have a staff member in mind. Happy to hand over my role to. I did think the alum should be Yara, because she's been on the facilities committee supporting this. So we've had people outside of the board on that committee, and she's been a frequent supporter of that. And she's an alumni who's working on the Burlington High School build. So she has some experience around that. We've had a couple of industry reps that were interested, and I would reach out and ask if one or both want to we were thinking about Josh Jerome, who is a Montpelier resident, who is the Barry Area BADC Development Corporation. He's come to the last two facilities meetings and expressed an interest in being on this. We could reach out to parents and students. I would probably recommend students that are most interested, maybe some of the ones that even voted because they were excited about the project, so that they can help us think about other options. We had Michael Licklider from Harwood as our superintendent on that committee. He wasn't able to attend, and now it might feel like a little bit of a conflict with a potential bond there, but open it up to our superintendents so that one of them might join from sending. Cam Featherstone as the architect, and then community members. And I know Sue is on here still, and she has volunteered as long as it doesn't impact her ability to put family first and see her grandchildren play basketball, which is a reasonable ask.
So, and just to clarify, the architect, they're doing some free pro bono work, I guess.
They've donated a total of 10,000.
Total of 10,000. We don't know how much they charge per hour, so we need to manage that.
We do. We can.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. So that's why they're sending one.
That's why the timeline is short.
That's why the timeline's short. They're
Yeah.
sending one. Yes.
I had a question about the consult with legislature and or the agency of education. Not necessarily the AOE, but with the legislature, should it be more than a consult? Should we ask that someone be a direct contact, even sit in on these meetings? Because of all the permutations that are going on at the legislative level,
We
someone
actually
to really
had a
have
conversation
their,
about
you know,
that,
be ankle deep in this would be much better than just consulting, I believe.
and there was a feeling that a legislature couldn't actually participate in our meeting in that way. Let me see if I can find what we wrote. Do you remember, Todd?
No, that was just a brief discussion, and it
Yeah.
was like, maybe it'll be during the session as well.
It was like a
Extremely busy.
Conflict of interest, yeah.
Oh, yeah, all right.
But we
Perhaps.
wanted to be able to reach out to them and, do you have an idea where school construction is going? Like, could we, if we're thinking about this, is that possible? So that's the consultation that we're talking about.
Yeah, I asked that question as well.
Yeah, because it would be nice to know what they're thinking so that we aren't going off on a tangent level, or they're going off on a tangent while we're trying to go forward.
Mhm.
Yeah, conflict of interest in it, and it might impact our ability to schedule flexibly.
Is there a working group, do we know, at the legislature this year that's specific to construction versus all the other stuff?
Yes, there is still one, and David Epstein from Truist Collins is on it. So tangentially, Cameron will know what's happening from that.
We could target one of those legislators as a
Yes,
potential consultant.
Yep.
If we know someone.
So this is down below in under board action. Can we take action now since we're talking about it now?
Well, it depends on what the action is. Are we just approving of this proposal? Are we, do we need to?
I would love you
edit?
to, if you need edits, let us know, and then approve it, and then also, if there's somebody who really wants to be a part of that group, to jump in with excitement and say, yes, it's me.
Yeah, that would be great, because some of you, put so much effort into the board, into the facilities, into the new, to the pond boat. So if one of you really is interested in this, it'd be great to jump in. It's gonna be a heavy lift, but we need the leadership too from the board person, I think, because there will be a lot of coordination that needs to be in mind.
right, well, let's do this in pieces. Are there any recommendations for additions, corrections, edits to this proposal for facilities work group?
I can state that on the first page, I took off the 2029. I think the original board vision was 2028. I removed, and it just says 20XX, because I don't know what those dates will be. I don't know if you want to fill that in by 2030. Still go for 2029, knowing that might not be possible.
Who would chair this work group? Someone ultimately,
Someone in the committee. Whoever we designate on the first meeting.
Last one.
Could be the last one to walk in the door.
yeah, it's a lot, it's ambitious, right? And I mean, there's already, like, December's already got work to do, and we're part of the way through December and don't even have it.
I will tell you, I have a draft of those things, so. It's not like you're walking in cold and trying to define a
Yeah.
problem, so I will have some pieces started that the work group can flesh out and edit instead of trying to come up with it on their own.
You're right, ambitious.
It is. It was even more ambitious before.
Yeah.
Is the facilities committee comfortable with this piece? Is the recommendation of the committee
Yes,
that we
yes.
move forward with this?
Definitely, especially with this revised timeline.
Then I move that we approve this proposal.
To create this working group.
To create this working group and follow this plan.
Wait a second.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on this? Any questions?
I just want to double check that, so the charge, right, is that the work group is presenting something to the facilities committee.
Mhm.
And then ultimately, the facilities committee is then bringing that to the full board.
That's, we,
If
well,
they agree.
we're gonna go all the way to the bottom.
All,
And you see there, that's the final project.
We didn't want to hamstring the facilities committee because this will take so much time and there's other work that needs to be done.
Yeah, and the facilities committee will start moving toward short term, how do we expand opportunities for kids?
Full disclosure, in the presentation tonight, I think you heard more than once about the size of the shops. We did not collaborate, okay? Not only did they not teach them how to, or tell them how to write it, we didn't tell them what to say. But it's interesting that they said that. It's interesting observation.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve this proposal for the CVCC facilities work group. Any more discussion? Any more discussion from people online? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Please indicate by saying aye or raising your hand if you're online. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. All right,
Do we have a volunteer?
anyone who would like to
Jonathan's
consider.
not here.
Yes, anyone who would like to consider volunteering for this work group, would you please let Jody know? Next one.
Should we also be soliciting
Other members.
from like community members
Mhm.
who might be, it sounds like there's some folks that you
There's
have in mind,
some.
but
We don't want to exceed, like, make it a huge unwieldy group.
yes.
Can we
So
send you names?
you can
maybe?
send me names if you know people, and I'll reach out to folks. And once, as I get confirmation from people that they're interested in participating, so like Flor Diaz-Smith is very interested in staying a part of this group. She's been a part of that. Sue, as I said, was interested, and there are some others that are potentially interested. Chester had already said that he was interested. So as we fill that out, I'll let you know where there's gaps that we could maybe think of additional people.
All right. So program quality.
So, we met, and the big issue that we did was, I guess, did we make a recommendation because we weren't allowed to actually,
Yeah.
baking and culinary? Okay, so, baking and culinary, their numbers are down below the combined 14 that it needs to be, and so the state will tell us that we have to do
Improvement plan.
an improvement plan. And so the recommendation of the committee was to get baking and culinary started on that improvement plan, so that they can start thinking about outreach to boost those numbers. We gotta get them back up over 14. And they have 3 years to do it.
Right.
So our recommendation is to the board to have a motion to initiate the improvement plan.
And technically, in our criteria for opening and closing programs, if it's not a brand new program, then we have a 3-year cycle. So by putting them on notice at this point, we're recognizing that this is year 1 in which they have the opportunity to start improving.
And it's improvement in recruitment into getting students into the program. The program itself is fine.
Right.
The instruction, the curriculum, that has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that we just need to have more bodies in the room taking the course.
And as another piece of it, we started to brainstorm a little bit of things that could be done. And one of them is this idea that we should be putting on Course Forum and Facebook and not, that there's open enrollment and there's room, and get your grandkids signed up. Right?
Because
Kids, grandkids,
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever it takes.
Neighbors' kids.
So the total is 14 in the 2 programs?
Yeah, it's 16 is preferred. We can fit 8 plus have 2 co-op students each, because the co-op students aren't there every day. And it's because of the size of the rooms that we can't have more than that. Normally, we would be able to have 14 or 16 in each program. We can't do that right now because they're sharing that space.
Now, I've seen the program been on an improvement plan before.
I think that's part of why baking arts was brought in-house. It used to be out on Main Street, and
right.
it was low enrollment that brought it in-house, and then they were able to merge together and have higher numbers together. We split them back out because there was an interest in potentially putting baking arts back off campus. And we've seen that there's been just kind of uneven enrollment across both. We were talking too a little bit about the chicken and the egg. If it was off campus, would that entice more people? We also talked about, if you're baking cookies every time people walk through, maybe they were more enticed to come, and all sorts of different things that we can do, so.
What if
The
you
baking
change-
arts teacher is already aware of this concern. Her goal this year, her teaching goal, is around recruitment, and so she has some plans that she is gonna kick off next month.
So if you were to change the name of the program, they would have the numbers, theoretically.
Tell me more.
Let me play devil's advocate, and I've said this before when they were located down the other place. I go to a restaurant, I order a main meal, maybe appetizers, but I also get a chance to order baked goods. And I've often wondered, why the separation? And I'm not an expert in food, so I may look at it, but, so I'm playing like kind of a, I don't want to say bureaucratic game, but the fact that we separate them out, is that a negative?
Because it's the same zip code, right?
It's the same zip code, it's obviously different pieces, and so what they had before when they were separate was two very robust programs where they were able to do a lot more, and then they were able to finish up the curriculum a little bit earlier and do more catering at the end. When they put them together, what they ended up doing was combining for the serve safe piece that they do. Our students get serve safe managerial actually. And then there's another piece that they do, SP2, I forget what that, food handler. And then they would do just under half a year with one program and then flop to the other program for just under. And then the last quarter, they would basically decide which program they liked the most. And they would go to there to finish out the year. And they do a lot more caterings, especially in-house. Quarter 4, Friday lunches are phenomenal. We get to order them, so you might want to sign up for that. Pretend you work here then. So it's really hard to say, but they got a lot less, and so I think we do prefer that students have access to the longer piece. It gets them college credits for both of them from White Mountain Community College, and if you're going to merge them together in that space and you have 14 students, do we need 2 teachers? It's an expensive program in that case, right? It is now anyways.
Well, and that potentially could come up with an improvement, right?
Yes.
You were-
It could.
They do get college credits from White Mountain?
Yep.
That could be a real problem.
Mm-hmm. It is in the program of studies. It's listed.
Good idea, guys.
Yes. We have a
Yes.
motion on the floor, correct? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, we have a motion on the floor to inform the culinary arts and baking programs that there's a pending improvement plan.
No.
No?
No
Okay,
one's
we don't.
made that move.
Okay, so I need a motion then. We'll just backtrack a little bit. Need a motion from the board based on the recommendation from the program. Quality, yes. Getting late. Program Quality Committee to put the baking and culinary arts program on notice for that they need to be making efforts. It's a 3-year action.
So moved.
Thank you. Need a
Who
second?
was that, Patrick?
Patrick. Yes, thank you. And any further discussion on this? No? All right. All those in favor of the program notice for baking and culinary arts, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Or raising your hand or indicating, okay, we gotcha. Any objections? None? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. So, Jody, will you do that? Will you handle that notification?
The last thing from our committee was we talked about the other programs that will have space, and baking and culinary, digital media arts, and EMS could all use a little boost if you're talking to people in the community. And the new early childhood program, just that we're getting that started, would be great for people to hear.
So what we were discussing also in that committee is that these are non-building program related. So because the community has become very familiar with the building project, but this is promoting our programs that we already have or are starting in-house so that students, their parents, their grandmothers can all know about it and make some wise choices about their educational career.
As I
Go ahead.
As I understood, right, so one of the pieces of feedback that we heard was, think creatively, I think was right, and having off-site programming is one of those like means of increasing enrollment without building, right? And so, to me, that's being responsive to the feedback that we were hearing from the building process. And so I don't think it's a bad idea to keep the conversations together, even though, like you said, it is not a building related.
Right, we're not marketing the building program right at the moment, we're marketing our programs, which as a result may cause us to look differently at what we have for facilities. Does that sum it up?
Better than I could.
Okay, so
So
we'll dig in on that.
a suggestion, if somebody could put together a piece that, each of us could, put on front porch forum. And I guess my suggestion would be, it sounds like, all of a sudden we're not doing as great as the professor, so and that's not true. But, there are gaps. So if somebody can wordsmith that in a more positive way, I think is important.
So basically what you're asking for, Guy, is like a sample?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll work on that a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll
We
share
talked
something with you.
All right.
We talked about
A question,
Yes, Mr. Stewart.
what round of the enrollment are we in? Are we on the second?
We're round one.
Round one,
We're-
okay, thanks.
We opened it on November 20th. It closes December 19th. And as of noon on Friday, we had 210 applicants so far.
Okay, thanks.
Is that something we can share?
Yes.
Because that might do exactly what you're saying. If we have 210 applicants, but we have lots of room.
Yeah.
Here's some opportunities,
Yeah. Overwhelming.
overwhelming opportunities in baking and culinary arts.
How does this year as it's shaping up compare to previous years?
It's pretty much on track. It's a little hard because of the timing, like, Thanksgiving was later this year, and we always do it the Thursday before is when we have our open house.
So it maybe like the end of round one is sort of a good time to ask that question.
Yeah, well, yes, we'll look at it, but we will look at it at different times. So by the second week of applications last year, we had 233, so we're slightly behind. In the previous year, we were at 134, so we're well ahead of that one. So it really depends on which year we're looking at, right? 175, that's a little earlier. So, and I know we've gotten some over the weekend as well, and not all of our exploratory students have applied yet, which is part of the number too. So I think we're on track, which is great and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Again.
All righty. Program quality, here's we have superintendent's evaluation. And we're kicking off the superintendent evaluation with the surveys of various groups that interact with the superintendent, the board, the administration, the faculty. So there'll be 3 different opportunities rather than one survey. There are 3 different surveys, each geared toward the particular group that's being surveyed. So that everybody understands the questions, everybody is clear on what they need to answer, and then that information will be collated and shared with the superintendent.
Did we do faculty and staff and administration together as one last year? Because there was only 4 admins, whatever, 6.
Yeah.
So there'll be 2 for you, and then the 3rd one will be faculty to the administrative staff, which we won't see.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So you'll have the one that the board sees every year. That one will be unchanged. You'll use it again because then you can compare that data. But that board survey, you worked really hard to break out questions for the staff to respond to. and they still struggled with that. So because we're doing these evaluations across all of the admin, including Michelle, it made sense to do one for me that was more director focused with a little bit of superintendent. And so that is in the program quality packet. But that's what we're gonna do with staff this year. So our feedback from staff will be a little different from last year, so more difficult to compare. But I think we're gonna get better, stronger data, one way or the other, on how I'm doing in the superintendent director role than the board level stuff, because a lot of staff don't, unless they're here for a presentation, they don't really know what's happening at this level.
If you ask them, is Jody doing well with the policies or written policies or updating them? They're gonna be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
She always quotes them, but we don't really know.
So we'll have good information and be able to prepare a substantive evaluation for our superintendent. Any questions about the superintendent evaluation? Right. Superintendent's report and the equity team report.
So we had our open house last month. It seems like it's long ago, but it wasn't that long ago. We had a record number, 563 people actually came through our doors to tour the center. It's honestly my favorite night every year. It is so great to see folks coming in and excited to see everything and to see the students kind of showing off their work. This year we actually, as people came in the door, we sort of forced them through the full tour. So we got a lot more people upstairs than we have in the past. In the past, people just went straight to the program that their kid was either interested in or attending, and they didn't necessarily go to all the programs. So we kind of forced a tour through the building. So they had, some of them were complaining, I don't really want to go through this program, but afterwards they came out and they were like really glad that they did, and they got to see everything here. So while the initial feedback was a little bit of complaint, by the end, there was a lot of approval of that. And they didn't, a lot of folks said, I never even knew that this program was here, for example. I know Todd and Lyman were both here, they came through, and Jana was here early. I might not have seen others who were also here. We also kicked off our admissions that night, as I've already told you, and by noon on December 5th had 210 applications, so that's on track. I've been meeting monthly with the Randolph Tech director. They had to close their automotive program or pause it this year because they didn't have an instructor. They anticipate having an instructor there on their second round of interviews there. And they also hope to have health careers back. That was paused. They did close the education program, which is why we can open an early childhood education program. They do intend to send a bus, and we're just trying to figure out where they might be getting our overflow again this year, but I do anticipate that that will be happening. And they are encouraging their students who might be interested in health careers to also apply to EMS here, just because they can't apply to medical professions if they have health careers, but they're also a little worried about whether or not they'll be able to find an instructor. And so if they can't, they want the students to kind of have a backup plan. So we may see that. The risk in that is we might accept some students into EMS, for example, that are Randolph students, and then they are able to hold their program, and then we'll lose them. So we could lose those students at some point in the spring. I was a little surprised to read the Appendix E, Section 3, after participating in the CTE work group that happened last week, the last one with the legislators. Somebody referenced that appendix, and we are in there. They talk a little bit about our going out for a bond vote and not succeeding, and basically talk about how Montpelier, Spalding, and U32 could have an opportunity to join together, and that the Career Center should be a part of that. So it's sort of used as an example of how Central Vermont is kind of the poster child for we could create a regional high school, especially those three schools. That's what they mentioned. And they cited some of the enrollment data and the declining figures in students. And So if you haven't, it is linked into my superintendent's report. You should go in and take a look at it. It's the section 3 in there, just because we are referenced in there. And I think that we'll hear about it when the legislature is discussing what they'll do, then this will be a topic of that discussion. So I wanted you to have awareness of that. The work group didn't really get anywhere. I get a sense that there is a clear want from the legislators to have more access to CTE for students who want it, any student who wants it. And they're really trying to figure out how they might be able to do that. So does that look like high schools being able to start their own programs with a little less oversight around that? Or does it look like some other model and finding instruction funding for that? We have tentative approval on our early childhood education program, and so I've been able to put a request in for our updated Perkins to hire someone in January to start building that and start visiting other programs in the state to be a part of the admissions process so students can meet the instructor and to work on recruitment for that program. So we can submit that again. I'm done with that. So hopefully that gets approved. They looked at my application and were ready, I think, to approve it. They just sent it back to me for 2 corrections that were, the AOE was very clear. Change this to this, change this to this. So we're ready to resubmit that. And then finally, I did apply for the Rural Career Connected Collaborative with Transcend and was invited to a superintendent interview. And after that, a community interview. Tim Hammond, who talked with us tonight, the exploratory teacher, Lisa LaPlante, who's the director of student services at U32, and Emily Wheelers-Reynolds all came to that meeting and basically were asked, what are you proud of at CVCC? What things go on there that you're excited about? What are you hoping would happen for the future? What are your wish list goals? And what is something that you think if we participated in their 15-month cohort, we could actually achieve or accomplish? And it looked like that focus was probably on getting to a full day, which we might be able to do in this space. So the Transcend Committee said that they would be making decisions about who's in that collaborative. What was exciting from them is that they are huge fans of us. And so they said, if we fit with the group, other people that have applied, that they're accepting, they would put us in that cohort. If they don't choose to put us there because we're not a good fit with the other folks that are doing this design project, then they want to do something with us and they will let us know what that other option might be. So either way, they want to work with us. We should know before the December break whether or not we got accepted into the cohort. So I will, as soon as I get that news, I'll just email everybody and let you know one way or the other. The equity team, I'm supposed to report out on that quarterly. We have met 2 out of 3 meetings that we had scheduled. We did use an equity tool to look at our program of studies and see if there were areas where we felt like we weren't like meeting the needs. So are we seeing a variety of students that are shown in there? Are we seeing accessible language and looking at that? And we were impressed with how well we actually thought we had done on the components of the tool that we decided to use. And then the other piece was looking at our policy versus the new VSBA recommended policy. Pietro Lynn had said that we should adopt the new policy because our policy actually goes a step further than that, and he was afraid that teachers might go too far in what they believe to be equitable practices and get themselves in trouble. And so the committee thought about that and reviewed both of them and reached back out to him with any questions, and we don't have that feedback yet. So chances are you'll see some version of the policy back here for us to update.
Any questions for the superintendent?
Just a comment, Jody. The irony based on what we did tonight with culinary and baking arts is that during open house, they probably have more people go to them.
Oh my God, the line out the door, yes,
You know, that
yes.
might be the answer right there. If you want more of this, you know, send us some more students.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on, business managers report. Michelle.
let's see, what did I say last week? Human resources update, we are fully staffed. We're working with District 6 and 8. We're looking for lead instructors and lab assistants for the upcoming EMS classes. District 6 and District 8 have a lot of members in mind, but if you happen to know any EMS instructors or anybody in that field, let them know. They can apply. We'll have some anticipated openings for next school year, and we'll be posting those after this meeting and or early January. Board stipend, your payroll reminder, 2 of you. I have 2 of you that I've emailed, and we will connect with to get your stipend later this week. I attached the expense report, nothing of note from me on that. Future financial update, we can talk about that. I think when we could do it now or we can wait, but the budget, of course, is a big thing. Dental rates were filed. It was a very odd range that was given to us. Statewide, it was 0 to 15%. And I was like, okay. And later that day, I got our official confirmation that ours are raising 12%. The base education rate has not been released yet. That is different than the December 1st letter. It's not, I do not have that number. So it's really hard for me to project the tuition. So when we look at tuition projection for next year, I've kept that base rate the same. In the past decade, it usually goes up a few percentages. Last year it went down by 3%. So I'm very hesitant to change that number. I think it's safer if we just project leaving it as is. Typically by this date, I do have that number, but for some reason I don't. So we will work on that. And the other thing is the updated billable FTE counts. Usually I have that by now, and I don't. I think we've had some staffing changes at the ALE, so a former employee keeps popping back in and saying, hey, I'm back to do this. So I think they're kind of just scrambling to get it all together. The other thing I had to discuss was the financial management questionnaire that's due. Every year I have to fill it out. There's nothing to note that's been changed. I just need it to be reviewed, and then I need somebody by the board to go ahead and sign this. Does anybody have any questions? It's something all districts have to do. If you haven't seen it at your own district, I'd be surprised. Questions haven't changed. They really just want to look at your risk. Sometimes if you have a lot of turnover in departments, or if you change policy, procedures, or financial systems, it's just a good way to check in.
You still liking our financial system?
I love it. Yep. I think there was a quick unofficial poll for business managers, and I can't remember, but I want to say 70% of us in Vermont are using this financial system versus the one that they tried to make us all go to. So.
I'd probably ask this every month, but given where we are with the balance in that table, it's lower than it had. I went back and checked previous months. It's lower. Are you feeling comfortable still? At what point do you start to get concerned?
Yeah, well, I'm always thinking about it. I'm not concerned because my staff has done a much better job of encumbering things. In the past, sometimes they're like, oh, we know we're going to pay this, but we're not. So I've had them encumbrance everything that they can think of so we can make sure we have those real numbers. We also spent a lot of money to begin with, and typically don't. You have a little bit of money left in the spring and you spend it then, but for us, we had some high cost expenses right off the bat. So you're welcome. And you can see Perkins right now is negative, but it's just purely because the amendment hasn't been approved yet. So I'm not going to change that, but yeah.
Any questions about the business manager's report? Anything from the video group? All right, thank you very much.
Yep, we're going right to meeting. That was approved. Oh, now we're going right into the budget.
Yep,
Do you want-
that's where we go, into the budget.
Do you want me to log in and share it or?
Everybody, so typically what we like to do is offer you a couple different versions of what the budget might look like for next year. I'm looking at the first spreadsheet that looks a little more formal, that comes from our financial system. The second column says FY 27 draft. That typically in other school districts might be referred to as level services. And what that means is it's things that we are obligated to pay. It's their health insurance and their benefits, their salaries, those sorts of things. With that alone, I don't even have another spreadsheet. With that alone, I think we were looking at just over 2%. Nice. I was gonna say, I don't have my next page on this. We're looking at just over 2%, so closer yet, 2.2%. A lot of that, why it's so minimal is because with leveled services, I took off all of the architectural services and all the money that we would have spent on public relations. And that kind of, that offset the increase in salaries and benefits and so on. I would love to say that that's an option, but I really don't feel like it is. I think that the next option that I'm giving you, which is called the director's draft, is a much more likely scenario, or the wish list, yep. Is much more of a likely scenario. And I'll tell you a few things that are different on this, what makes that difference. It would be from 2.2% up to just about 7%. Why that is in building trades, there's a dust collection system that needs to happen. We got a quote, it was about $45,000. So I budgeted $49,000. That dust collection system not only allows the current students in there and be able to work on their projects, but if we're increasing electrical, we're going to use some of that space for our electrical students. So it needs to be safe and have electrical equipment in there and sawdust all over the place and this and that. So it's really, the board's goal was to increase the electrical program. That has to happen. The other thing that's offsetting this, not offsetting, but increasing, is the human services. Early childhood, is that the official name?
Yeah.
Okay. Early childhood. That, being a new program, the instructor is fully funded. We're hoping will be fully funded by Perkins. But being offsite, I do need to have a lab assistant. So that's an additional salary and benefits of a single person being available to them offsite, plus the cost of the program supplies and any other increases that they need. Overall, it's just over $105,000.
That include transportation, and on the other transportation line.
That's in the other transportation line.
Other transportation line. The transportation line has remained just over $44,000 years. It's been 5 years since it's been there. We've never spent quite that much, but we've always used it in some capacity, whether it's for transportation or to fix the bus or some other unexpected cost that comes in. We've always used that line. The other two things of note are the co-op instructor. Last year, we decided that we were going to drop that down to 0.5 FTE. meaning half a position and the other half of the position would be adult ed. We realized that's not doable. That position, in order to do all their duties as needed for the co-op, really needs to go back up to one. And then same with adult ed. We used to have a Department of Labor grant that was for $20,000 to offset that position. We no longer have that. It's no longer offered statewide. So that's $20,000 off from that. But we also are required to have an adult ed.
Both of those are required.
Both of those are required. We have to have those. I did budget,
Students,
how many was?
adult ed students.
We haven't had a lot in the last few years, but now that we're moving forward with the CMS programming, I think there's 40 students signed up for the first EMT class. And
So
we
it's
have,
being used.
we have a number of, yes,
That's good.
Yeah. And then the public relations, special education / architectural services, based off the recommendation of the facilities committee, the thought is if we do need to go out for another bond vote or any type of vote, it will be a special election. And if that is, we're also going to need public relations, somebody to get the marketing and media back up. But also the cost of the election is pretty substantial. And to do it for any less than we did previously would be an injustice. As well as the architectural.
there.
Yeah, as well as the architectural services. At first, I had first budgeted $60,000. I lowered it to $40,000, and that's my hope. But the thought is if we're gonna try to come up with at least three different proposals, and they want budget detail. It's really hard. I'm not qualified to do that. None of us are qualified to do that. We're gonna have some costs associated with looking at the other sites, whether it's site selection and doing any preliminary checks or architectural skills or anything like that. So those are the other two items. So those are the key items. So
We have a total of what we spent this year, all of that stuff for the,
I can get that to you.
that's something that we have as an anchor to say, this is what it costs.
Architectural services to date, we've spent $60,000, give or take. And it would be equitable. I want to say we spent $48,000 on the marketing and public relations sides, plus $15,000 on the actual ballot and elections. Ballot printing alone is over $10,000.
So, Michelle, just a clarification question. On public relations, it's a special ed election cost. Maybe it's semantics, but if we were to go out for a vote in November, does that still come under a special election? It does, okay, all right.
Because we have no other ballot going out then.
Yeah, anytime we put a ballot that's not already in our ballot. I mean, our ballot itself costs money too. It's not that it doesn't cost money, it's just that this would cost an additional money.
Well,
So if it's on town meeting day, and that's not a special election?
It's still, but we already have a ballot going out.
Okay.
Right, so we've already budgeted for our budget ballot,
Mhm.
right? With election of board members. So we would just be adding an article on that, which is cheaper than a separate ballot.
yeah, so if I was looking at the financial report. That's something I wasn't aware of in terms of where you're paying the towns for.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is that if it's a town meeting day, they already work, so we don't have to pay the labor costs, but we were paying for folks that work in the towns during the election day because that wasn't supposed to be a work day for them.
And that would be the same if we held an election, if we get
That
something in
might not be
November?
true in November, this coming November, because it is an election year. It's a midterm elections. So those costs would be down a bit.
Hundreds.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah,
not thousands.
not
Yeah.
thousands. So based off that, if I have had the wish list or the director's draft, just 7%, it's $369,000 to increase. Based off tuition, and again, these are numbers that I'm basing them off this year. I do not have next year's numbers. That would put our tuition increase at just about 5%. Thoughts? I know a 7% increase to overall budget compared to what other school districts are doing is more, but we're also offering the electrical program, the second full electrical program. This year we had just a few soft spots. Next year we'll have more. Another full program, plus that desk collection system that I was told it could go with us. So that everything that we're investing in our facilities right now is we're preparing to take wherever it may need to go. Stay here indefinitely or elsewhere. And the tuition, the 5% tuition increase is more in line with other school districts. That was when I had discussions with other business managers, I said, I'm really shooting for 5%. So the 5% is hitting them.
And that's what I was gonna say, that's where we're at right now, we're looking level services at 5%, so.
A question online?
Oh, Patrick?
I'm sorry, did I step on you?
No, go ahead.
I'm curious. I don't think this is a huge moneymaker either, but I'm curious if there are costs to be saved in the early childhood education program because there'll be staff from Washington Central there, and I'm certainly there's cost savings because the building is we're probably not charging rent, but is there other ways to be creative about some of the responsibility of supervision because we've got staff from the Washington Central District at the early childhood building.
There may be this staffing cost is specifically for a lab assistant that's in the classroom with them at all times.
Okay.
So I did budget for a full-time lab assistant, and I mean, when you're talking health insurance, it's tens of thousands of dollars. So it's very likely, I mean, either we could have a part-time position, so they're only there during school hours or program hours, that's 4 hours a day. What we found in the past is it's very hard to hire part-time positions.
Yeah.
Full-time positions are the way to go. It's required.
I would say the one way, the caveat would be if Washington Central has a para that they only need for half-time and it worked with the schedule. So they could be a lab assistant for us for half the day or a little over, and then a para for the remainder of the day.
Okay.
At that school, we might be able to split the cost.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can bring that up. That might be something to do. Sure.
I have a meeting with Stephen and Alicia
Okay.
on December 28th, I think. So we'll be talking about these things then. I
Great.
think this board has to approve a budget decision in the January 12th meeting. But I need to present our budget before then, so I want to know if we're close.
Copy.
And my goal is once I get these tuition numbers, is to micro adjust. Like, if I need to come up with $5,000, which to us is a lot, your school districts, it may not be. It would be taking it from architectural professional services. That's just $5,000 less that we get to spend on the architect, unless you want me to go over. It's up to the discretion of the board. But anything over 5%.
Let me pick up on something that you said, Scott, in terms of the outside conversations were about potentially alternative, programming and, offsite. So what this does for me is begin to take advantage of some of that, number one. Number two, continue our vision of expanding programs for kids. And it's gonna cost, but it's also gonna bring in potentially more kids. I mean, second program, and you got a new program, over 3 years, unfortunately, so I could certainly justify it from that, from that perspective. But, yeah, I mean, people are looking at percentages, there's no doubt about it. I guess what I would say is it's not $149 million.
The new anchor point.
So this is a preliminary budget?
It is. I'd like some guidance if anybody, because at the January meeting, we will have to make a decision. We will have to approve because I have 3 days from then to announce the tuition. I will have the solid numbers by then. But I kind of just wanted to gauge and see what everybody's thinking about a tuition increase of 5%. Because people are at, your boards, they have to budget for theirs as well. So if we can.
So from a PR perspective, I know what I'm saying. The 5% is really what we need to focus on. That number, 7% is our increase, but the impact is 5%.
Correct.
And so when Scott goes to his board, he's going to say they're going to raise it by 5%. Monthly voters,
Tuition.
that's in there.
I'm also gonna say, I just looked at our budget and we spend 2% on tuition to the CVCC, so
Yeah.
Right.
5% on 2% is,
Pretty good. Good deal.
but yes, I understand. That's the message.
So the
that-
7% is not, it's a number, but it's not a number, is it?
It doesn't directly affect. I mean, it's an old, yes.
Yes.
It's information you all need to know, but it's not something that's going to affect anybody else's
The
budget.
insurance was going to be 8%.
7, 9,
Yeah,
8.
better
And
than
then,
it has been.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Single
So, so I mean,
That's the
5.
that's the threshold.
But I was surprised with dental being double digits, even though it's not that great of an impact. But I was like, what? I've gone up in years.
That's why.
Yeah.
So in terms of real money, what does 5% do on the tuition cost?
$2,900. If we announce this FY26 is 20,847. If we went with 5%, it would be 21,853. Or comparatively, we're still out of the CTE centers. We're still on the lower half, top of the top 1/3. Like I can share this. Do you see that yellow? That's where we are.
Towards the
Yeah. Can you see that little yellow line?
Yeah.
Very hard. And this is all
So
the
the
tech
low,
center
small end.
tuition.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is low and that's the high. We're right here. So even if nobody else changed their tuition and only we did, which nobody's going to do, but even we did, we'd still only go over one marker. So statewide, we're not that expensive.
And that's been consistent for
Years.
years.
That's my
Yeah, Michelle, I think for Washington Central, I think we've got some big problems with our budget, but I don't think that this is going to be the thing that breaks us. So I can make an argument that this is to our board, and I think our board is going to support this.
Thank you. I don't actually need any action unless somebody
Jody, what did you say you need? You need at least a straw vote feel or what?
Yeah, I have to, my first scheduled presentation is next week at the very board meeting, at least right now. And so I need to put that presentation together and go on that roadshow of presenting our budget. And so I want to be as close as possible. I want to know that you all support this 7% increase, which is a 5% increase in tuition, or you don't.
That's a question.
Yeah.
How do you think the perception, public relations and special election costs, how do you think that'll be perceived? Because anticipated cost of special election, the budget also is potential bond initiative work. And we know that works for facilities advisory group, but some of this other stuff may seem like fluff. I just want to be careful on how it's perceived if that question comes up in your presentations.
If we end up spending less because we don't do that, the money goes back to the districts. So we've had that happen before.
I have to do a true up every year, and what we announce our tuition as in January, and then what's our allowable tuition following December. I have to match those up within 3%. If we spend more than we said we did, we bill our sending schools. I never ever want to do. If we spend less, if we have less, or we spend 3% or less, we have money left over. We give it directly back to them in the form of tuition. So tuition credit. So like last year, we didn't quite spend as much as we thought we were going to, and everybody got a tuition credit on it.
So you have an answer.
Last year they got a credit from the previous year, but last year we actually spent it.
Yeah.
We were right on.
You're always a kind of a year behind. So last year was from the previous year. This year they won't, because last year we spent the right amount. If that makes sense.
So Michelle, I went into the first draft budget for Montpelier we had last week, and what we have in the draft is a 9.2% increase, which includes both the 6 semester rolling average and the CVCC tuition. How does the 6 semester rolling average factor into what each sending district is paying?
So I don't have those numbers quite yet. I did look, and so for the tuition, when I'm looking at tuition, I'm looking at overall tuition numbers. I'm estimating it went from 193 students we were able to bill for last year, 193.18. I anticipate we'll be able to bill for just over 199 students. As far as your actuals, like yours, I don't have those numbers yet.
And this is a draft, and so I don't know where Mike, our new CFO, got these numbers from. Yeah, it just says.
Last year we did have a 9% increase, right?
Yeah.
So we might be just carrying it forward, assuming we might do the same thing.
Okay.
I also talked with him. He has my estimated number. So
Okay, cool.
what he has projected is very likely
Perfect.
what I'm also saying.
So given that, I feel comfortable with what you all have presented as what you call the director's cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the wish list, director's draft.
I mean, it's not a wish list, right? Because
No, I know.
and you're talking about an air handling system that it sounds like it's a need.
Right.
Yeah, right, so.
Yeah, we don't want to burn down the building. I mean, just because we
Well,
want
if
to
you
do
want a new one.
things doesn't mean we want to destroy.
Right.
Yeah.
And you surveyed all the programs and got their input again of what they want.
Every September, we talk to them about
Yeah.
anything that they're gonna need that's in the upcoming budget.
Mhm.
You feel good that they would feel good with the director's cut.
Yeah, the only program that really needed, so we give them freedom to spend their budget as they need. Because $1,000 in books and $500 in dues and fees, might not be right. You might want to reverse those. So I do let them know that they're able to spend their entire budget. Just needs to be coded correctly. They can overspend and underspend. I just need to know correct numbers so when I budget in the future. So if they were to underspend supplies, they can get additional books and vice versa. So I think that has worked out really well. In the past, there was two concerns. Was one, they really needed to stick to, if I said 500 in books, then they had 500 in books. And I don't think that's a good way or a good model. And they used to be scared of a use it or lose it. That's always the threat. When we became a new district, that was their threat. If you don't spend what you are budgeted, you don't get it anymore. And the truth is, we always spend what we're budgeted. It just might not be for that specific thing. They might underspend their supplies, but you know what? Their health insurance, they changed health insurance, so it offset it. So I've been really flexible with them. And so I think that that's been good. And just working on multi-year. I think maybe next year we'll see a little bit of budgeting increase in some program supplies and needs, with the thought that if we are not getting a new facility, we are going to have to start replacing desks and chairs and classroom furniture, technology, things like that. I think there's been a hold on those types of things, lockers, stuff like that.
Question on that, would it not be wise to maybe budget a little bit for this coming year for some of that upgrade? And then there's not such a huge expense for upgrading in the future?
It might not feel as big an expense if we keep expanding the number of students, because we, as that rolling, the number of students that we can tuition grows, it helps spread the
As a
cost out a little.
percentage,
Yeah.
I also think that when there's a need, we do address it immediately in different ways. I can't say, oh, there's $20,000 in deferred supplies that we're not getting. I don't think that that's the case at all.
So will you bring back another draft?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll be ready for that, and during that course of time, anyone who has any future further questions, we'll address them with the final draft.
But what does that do to your presentation?
I'm gonna present a 5% budget, tuition increase, 7% overall budget increase.
And where's
Everybody's
your,
okay with that?
is your Sunday morning call factored in here?
No,
No. What if?
what if what?
What if somebody all of a sudden cuts a check?
Great, we'll figure it out.
It's not a bad problem to have, right?
All righty, now, we have covered that, board, we discovered, the facilities work group, we did that, the budget, programming, we did, superintendent goals. We need to just, have you all read Jody's goals that were part of the
They were
packet?
last year's goals.
Yes, from last year's goals. The action to submit those, or just to continue to review?
The action was to move forward with the evaluation, 2 separate forms.
Okay. What did we,
We moved that?
did that?
I don't think so.
Okay, so,
And you just talked.
we need a motion to accept the superintendent's goals and move forward with the evaluation.
So moved.
Moved in second. Any further discussion
Wait,
on
who seconded that? Sorry.
We thought. Take the lead.
Okay.
Any further discussion on superintendent's goals and the evaluation process? All right, all those in favor of moving forward with those 2 actions, please
Aye.
indicate.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. 6.5, we have a notice of retirement.
Yes, so our plumbing and heating instructor, Pete Henderson, has formally let us know that he will be retiring at the end of this school year. It has been wonderful having him with us. It's great to see what the students are doing in that program. We will miss him, and he is actively working on trying to recruit his replacement. So we just wanted to bring that forward. That's the one that we would be posting sooner than later to try to get somebody on board this year.
Can we put in the minutes a note of appreciation from the board for his?
Yes, yes, undoubtedly. That, seeing plumbers in the work world today and knowing that they have been his students is a true testament to his ability to not only teach, but to produce fine members of the community as well. The young man that I use as my plumber, I can't speak enough about because he is very talented, very amenable, and extremely available, which is always good for a plumber. Okay, we will note that. We will note in the minutes that the board and everyone associated with the Career Center will certainly miss him and appreciates his years of work. All righty.
We
Moving,
have to accept that.
we have to accept the retirement. We need a motion to accept the retirement of plumbing instructor
Pete Henderson.
Peter Henderson.
So moved.
So moved. Need a second? Second, Wayne, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Of course, all of us would be opposed to losing him.
If we oppose it, does that mean it's
Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. Good luck in your future endeavors, whatever they may be. All right, we need to move into executive session.
I don't think we do.
We do not need to. All right, we can eliminate executive session. Just a quick review of future agenda items, board development and goal setting, equity policy report, program presentations that will be continuing, and reflection and summary of the meeting. If anyone wants to disagree that these meetings are always enjoyable and well managed by the entire board, we will arm wrestle over that at a later date. I again applaud the board for the work that they do because it is very telling of our interest in the Career Center and our desire to do everything right. I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second on that?
Second.
Second, and it's non-disputable.